It's been over 5 years since I was last in Hiroshima, a city that's often regarded as a symbol, kind of for the darker side of humanity, and also as a beacon of hope for its impressive and incredible rebirth. I really do love it here, and I'm delighted to be back for 48 hours to explore the city, the stunning island of Miyajima in Japan's inland sea, and of course, stuff myself with as many okonomiyaki pancakes as I can get my hands on. Hiroshima, here we come. Coming up on our journey through Hiroshima, we explore one of the most visually striking temples that Japan has to offer. Stay on the sacred, picturesque island of Miyajima in a truly astonishing hotel room. And I find myself frantically working behind the counter of the city's busiest okonomiyaki pancake restaurant. But before we set off into the inland sea of Japan, there's one place above all others that demands to be visited while travelling through Hiroshima. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum is profoundly disturbing, but it's supposed to be. It's essential viewing. They want people to come here and appreciate the true destructive power of nuclear weapons, and regardless of how you feel of their use in World War II. When you go in there and have a look around, see what it did to this city, you'll feel that the use of nuclear weapons is truly unthinkable. And, Hiroshima's not about pointing fingers. It's about serving as a warning. You'll come away hoping that they're never used ever again. And perhaps the most poignant reminder of Hiroshima's past is the Genbaku Dome, literally the atomic bomb dome. Built in 1915, the building was once an exhibition hall, and when the bomb went off almost directly overhead, the structure's vertical columns survived the force of the blast, leaving it one of the only buildings intact in the aftermath. While it can seem daunting to be face to face with the sheer destruction of humanity's most powerful weapon, it's important to realise that Hiroshima, now with its bustling and ever-growing landscape, is not just a symbol of the past, but also a symbol for moving forward into the future. And perhaps the best way to appreciate this is by visiting the Orizuru Tower that overlooks the dome, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the city, past, present and future, all presented at once. This really is the Blade Runner of observation decks. It is quite jarring. You're looking down on the Genbaku Dome from up here, from this futuristic skyscraper. We truly are living in the future. I always see the Genbaku Dome in 1940s newsreels and historic archive footage, and to now be towering over it up here, I feel like I'm living in the future. I feel very old indeed. But the bomb was actually intended to be dropped over there on that T-junction over the bridge, but it missed and it went off over there about 600 metres above. But what you notice when you arrive in Hiroshima is the infrastructure, right? The roads are really wide, the buildings are really modern, because they had to start essentially from scratch. There's not so many historic buildings, which makes the Genbaku Dome all the more important to remember what happened here. You can see Hiroshima Castle in the distance as well, but yeah, it has a really futuristic skyline. A lot of the buildings, including the new stadium over there. It's an incredible city. It needs to be seen to be believed. And when you think about what happened here and where the city is now, it is nothing short of inspiring to see how far things have come and how the people of Hiroshima started over and did a fantastic job rebuilding the city and prospering. The connection between Hiroshima's past and future was a concept that the owner of Orizuru Tower, Matsuda-san, felt important to preserve, especially given his family's history within Hiroshima, as his grandfather, the son of the original president of the Mazda car company, lost his life in the bombing alongside all of his staff. It's a big responsibility renovating a tower overlooking such an important kind of historical landmark. How did you feel renovating this place back in 2016?
79 years ago. There were nothing at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right now it's beautiful. This view should be shown to the whole world. It's a not place to look back on the past. Feel the future of peace. It's peace of Hiroshima, I think. 原爆ドームだけではなくて、原爆ドームに向こうに広がる今の街の風景がすごく好きで、この山の向こう側には皆さんのふるさとや皆さんの国とつながっているというね、この景色をもっと未来に残したいっていう、そういう思いを感じてもらえたらなと思いますね。
But alas, it's time to say goodbye to Matsuda-san for now. He's a busy and serious entrepreneur after all, and he departs in a manner befitting of a man of his powerful status. Thank you so much, Matsuda-san.
Thank you too. Have a good time in Hiroshima.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You have to go.
He has to go now. Down the slide, Hiroshima, one of Hiroshima's richest men, disappearing off down a slide. Nothing irregular about that. On a scale of 1 to amazing escape from an interview, Matsuda-san wins. Can't be beat.
And there he goes, Hiroshima's fastest ascending entrepreneur. I, on the other hand, decide to see what else Orizuru Tower has to offer, admittedly taking the lift myself.
Orizuru itself means folded origami crane, a symbol of peace, synonymous with Hiroshima, after Sadako Sasaki, a victim of the bombing, completed folding 1,000 paper cranes as a symbolic wish for peace and recovery. A symbol that is quite literally ingrained into the structure of the tower itself, as visitors are encouraged to make their own origami cranes and then drop them into an open wall that spans the entirety of the tower, slowly being filled with cranes by visitors from all across the world. That's insane. So there's 950,000 cranes down below for people that have actually dropped them over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And when it gets to about 1.2 million, it should be full. And then they're going to start all over again. They're going to take them out and start all over again. It's the idea of everyone, if everybody works together, we can sort of fill it. Time for my contribution. No. Bye-bye. Ew. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wow. That's so cool.
And with all my hopes for world peace gracefully floating down the side of the building, I decide to head downstairs to see some of Hiroshima's local foods and souvenirs. And it's here that I catch a glimpse of perhaps Japan's most enthusiastic oyster salesman.
You like oyster?
I do. Oh, it's really good. Very good. Oysters are so naturally flavorful. Kind of like a salty flavor.
牡蠣好きにはたまらないやつです。はい。
Passion support. When you come to Hiroshima, everyone goes on about the oysters an awful lot, and you can see why when you try it for yourselves. Like, see where that passion comes from.
But Orizuru isn't simply home to a tower of origami or an entrepreneur who commutes exclusively by slide. Downstairs you'll find Hiroshima's most beloved local chain of okonomiyaki pancake restaurants, Mitchan, serving up my favourite style of savoury pancakes characterised by their crispy soba noodle filling.
美味しいお好み焼きを作るにはまず、広島の場合は火加減がものすごく大事になってきます。層になっていて重ねて焼いていきます。それをひっくり返してそばと合体にしてっていうので手間が非常にかかります。
A more complicated cooking procedure requires only the most apt and trained hands to get the perfect ratio of all the ingredients cooked just right, which is exactly why Matsuda-san thought it would be hilarious to pull some strings and get me behind the counter to attempt to make one for myself.
Say hello to Michan's brand new star employee. I have to say, it actually fits rather well. I like it. I haven't worked behind a restaurant counter in about 15 years, so let's hope I don't trash it and burn the place down, given it only opened yesterday afternoon. This really is a baptism of fire. The busiest okonomiyaki pancake restaurant in Japan. The world's worst chef with Japan's most complicated dish. What could possibly go wrong? Look at that disorder.
難しいです。
Oh.
基本はもうひっくり返して蒸らしてやってください。はい。溶けたらそばの上に乗せる。はい。で卵を入れる。ひっくり返す。もう青のりと OK ね。
やばいね。やばい。So difficult, so complex.
And thus begins the first and final time Chef Issei allows a stranger to cook in Michan's kitchen. The thin batter has to be cooked just right before adding a combination of cabbage, crispy squid tempura and thinly sliced pork. But probably the most important step of all is flipping the pancake, making sure all the ingredients don't go flying over the... oh crap, oh boy, oh bugger. Fortunately, the only one who'll be eating this disaster is myself. And to ensure I don't top it all off with some food poisoning, Chef Issei is on hand to help me through the final stages of making this nightmare edible.
Good teacher, Ii-sensei. There's one. Very good. The rich tangy Worcestershire sauce, the mayonnaise, fish flakes, noodles. Such a great combination of flavours, right? But for me, it's the crispiness of the noodles that win the day. The good thing about Hiroshima Okonomiyaki is it can be messy though, right? It's not about perfection, it's about putting all these ingredients together and having a big, flavourful, savoury pancake that will stuff you up for the next few hours. I can't believe I cooked this. I can't believe I actually did it. Albeit being told what to do every step of the way. I mean, I cook for myself, I don't know if I have the confidence to cook for anyone else. Can you imagine that? The excitement of coming here, and then I turn up and I'm like, I'm going to make your okonomiyaki pancake. And they're like, okay, I think it's time to go now. But either way, that was an exceptional okonomiyaki pancake, and yeah, really cool restaurant. Good vibe, good vibe.
Nestled away in the centre of the city is Hiroshima Castle, originally built in the late 16th century and the seat of power for all of Hiroshima and the 9 domains of the Chugoku region. And while the castle itself was faithfully rebuilt after being destroyed by the atomic bomb, wander through the grounds and you'll be amazed to discover just how much of the surrounding nature survived the destruction in 1945.
So this is incredible. This eucalyptus tree, despite being just 740 metres from the hypercentre of the blast, actually survived the bombing on that day, August 6, 1945. The castle and the surrounding area was completely destroyed, but this tree, along with a few others around the park, managed to survive, and despite being in the heart of the city, it's a great place to come for a moment of peace and admire the trees that survived just the absolute worst kind of destruction.
While Hiroshima Castle might not be able to compete with the sheer spectacle of Himeji or the mountaintop views of Matsuyama Castle, the grounds surrounding the building are genuinely stunning, with a labyrinth of pathways, stone walls and ponds that offer a relaxing escape from the urban sprawl. It's a beautiful place to get lost in the heart of the city. It's time to leave downtown Hiroshima behind and head out into the inland sea as we hop on a 40-minute ferry ride to the island of Miyajima, home to the giant floating torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine. A sacred island in the eyes of Shintoism, Miyajima's legendary nature and forests have been left mostly untouched, and the site of Itsukushima is regarded as one of the 3 most beautiful sites in all of Japan. A fitting backdrop for one of the 3 most hungry animals in all of Japan, the many hundreds of deer that call Miyajima home. Although many people usually associate Miyajima as a quick day trip getaway and head back before the last ferry leaves the docks, it's becoming something of a popular overnight destination in its own right. And I've been invited to stay at Matsuda-san's spectacular, newly opened Iroha Hotel, overlooking Itsukushima, a hotel that meticulously incorporates Japanese design aesthetics into each and every room.
My God, now this is how you do a hotel room. They've gone for a chashitsu tea room vibe, right? So you sort of walk in, and you walk into a room within a room. You've really got to pay attention to the little details though. They've got this tamo tree flooring down there, it's been painstakingly carved. We've got this woven bamboo ceiling that I suspect most guests won't even realise is here. And it all leads up to the window overlooking a bustling street, which is somehow yet still relaxing because you've got the Kawada roof tiles and the misty mountains of Miyajima in the distance. You could sit here all day with your tea and take it all in.
As spacious as it is, somehow this is actually the smallest room you can book at Iroha, with the upper floors taking luxury to the next level.
Okay, wow, my God, this is nothing short of spectacular. How can you have a room with a view like that? We have it all to ourselves in this sweeping room, ocean view. This is insane, this is ridiculous. Venice-inspired kind of ceiling. Apparently the materials they use for the ceiling are actually imported from Venice. They've got this Danish sofa. We've got tiles over here from Shimane Prefecture, neighbouring nearby. Wallpaper from Belgium. Like, it's a really good fusion of Japanese and sort of European aesthetic, and it combines to create just the most amazing room. But it is the view that defines it. And I'm not going to stop saying that because, wow, I can't believe you can have a view like this all to yourself. So I've actually stayed on Miyajima once before, 10 years ago, and my friend and I, we went camping on the far side of the island. It was fun, but we woke up the next morning, opened the tent, and all our luggage had been destroyed. It was everywhere, all over the field. And we were like, who could have done this? Why would this have happened? And we turned the corner, around the tent, and there was just a big deer munching on the bags. Be careful if you come to Miyajima and go camping. But what a contrast, waking up in a tent on Miyajima, not knowing if my baggage is going to be intact, to being in the most luxurious room there is on the entire island. It's quite the contrast. Each has their own merits, I suppose.
There's an ancient saying about Miyajima. In order to understand its beauty, you need to have a full stomach. Okay, I made that bit up. But I would be ashamed not to visit some of the various food stalls that line the small streets along the coastline.
So when you're in Miyajima, you need to get some street food. And Hiroshima's most famous dish, after okonomiyaki, is actually oysters. And, well, I couldn't resist getting the old gratin oyster, of course. If there's cheese on it, it's going in my mouth. Can't believe I said that out loud. Anyway, itadakimasu. Gratin makes everything better, doesn't it? The oyster was so fresh, the cheese, beautifully creamy. And if you're not into oysters, they've got beef korokke, kind of potato and chopped up beef, battered with some good old Worcestershire sauce on there. What a mess. Beef croquettes, the perfect form factor for street food. Nice and convenient, deliciously warm and filling, especially on a rainy day like this. It's warmed me up. Some pretty interesting drinks here. Haribo Gummy Lemon Rum Cider. Yeah, Haribo Gummy Rum Cider.
ハリボーグミラムサイダーです。はい、どうぞ。
Hawaii. Look at that, gummy bears in the rum. It's quite a weird smell. It just smells of Haribo gummy bears and lots of rum. Like a ton of rum. Oh wow, that shouldn't work, but it does. I don't know how you're supposed to eat the gummy bears though. That presents a bit of a predicament. The new tradition in Hiroshima. This is going to become like the thing, isn't it? Gummy bear rum. Oh, the gummy bears are frozen. Exercise caution. My God, my teeth.
After enjoying the local traditional drinks of rummy gummy, whatever the heck that was, I set off in search of more delicious treats, but not before engaging with some of the local islanders.
Hello. How you doing? You tried the oysters? They're really good.
Probably a Ryotaro's Japan fan. Anyway, time for something deep-fried, but also sweet.
The people of Miyajima love Canada, and so they've got tempura momiji, battered maple leaf, which, if it's battered, of course I was going to get it. The queue is astonishing for this place. This rustic, beautiful building overlooking the stream. What a fine backdrop for this nourishing treat. Cheers. Oh wow, it's just pure battered sugar. And I'm saying that like it's a bad thing. My God, I'm going to be leaving this island 3 kilograms heavier. Ugh.
But it's not all beautiful scenery, historical and poignant spots and delicious food. Miyajima is also home to the largest rice paddle on the planet. No, I'm not making this up. This needs to be seen to be truly appreciated.
So this is Godzilla's rice paddle. The largest rice paddle on Earth, 7.7 metres long, 2.5 tonnes in weight, and it took the people of Miyajima almost 3 whole years to build this bad boy. What I didn't know is that Miyajima is home to the rice paddle. They invented it here about 200, 300 years ago. And they carved this out of a zelkova tree. Honestly, I have no idea how they physically constructed it, but it is incredible. And in a weird way, I kind of want to pick it up and eat a bowl of rice with it. Although I suspect it would take a small army to physically lift this thing. Incredible. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they made it. Money well spent.
But if the world's largest wooden rice spoon isn't enough to move you to your very core, then perhaps you prefer to take a quick walk upstairs to the viewing deck, a secluded spot that's as yet mostly unknown, offering one of the best views of the island.
Got this view all to myself of the Hokoku Temple, the shrine, the beachfront, the mountains. When you get to take a few minutes to step back and appreciate it, it really is like a postcard. Don't miss it. Come up here and whole place to yourself.
Just a small walk from Japan's most impressive rice-serving tool is the Daishoin Temple, considered one of the most important temples in the country, as it was where famous monk Kobo Daishi first brought esoteric Buddhism to Japan. Covered in ornate buildings, statues and Buddhist art, with the smell of incense sticks blowing on the wind, Daishoin Temple really is a sight to behold. Even before your journey up its over 2,000 steps to the very top, you're greeted with the almost Ghibli-esque scene of a sea of Jizo statues, meant to protect travellers.
500 cheeky little Jizo statues with their cute red hats and their lifelike expressions. I love it. I love a good Jizo statue. Maybe they can help me lift that rice paddle later on. Come on, guys. We sure we want to go to this temple? Let's get on with it. I think this temple's worth it. There's a lot of stairs. I'm almost ashamed to admit this is my first time at Daishoin Temple, or at least this part of it. It is really quite breathtaking. It's been here for over 1,200 years, and it's said to have like this eternal flame burning, a flame they've kept going at the summit of the mountain, which unfortunately we're not going to visit today. Already done enough climbing, but honestly, I'm not going to lie, it's quite an ostentatious temple. There's lots of kind of little Buddhas and Jizo statues and shrines and things. There's so many things dotted around it. It's almost a bit overwhelming, but it is magical, with the mist coming through the forest and the rain from the trees. Check it out, Daishoin Temple. What a beautiful place.
And as you walk around the grounds of the main temple, You'll also find the Henjokutsu Cave, home to thousands of lanterns hanging from the ceiling, and 88 Buddha statues meant to represent the 88 temples of the Shikoku pilgrimage. It's said that you can even get the blessings of all the temples here, essentially a sort of pilgrimage speedrun. But of course, no trip to Miyajima is complete without visiting Itsukushima Shrine itself.
Itsukushima Shrine, one of the 3 scenic sites in all of Japan. I will admit it does look better at high tide than the season, but they've just finished renovating it. It took 3 years. Originally, when they started in 2019, it was only going to take 1 year, and then COVID hit, and they were like, maybe we can take a little bit longer, maybe nobody will mind. And it speaks for itself. Striking red shrine, there's a deer walking straight here. Really gosh, unbelievable. But let's go and take a look up close and see what those renovations actually look like. I don't think I've ever touched it before. Whoa, feel that nice red paint finish. So, I mean, this shrine's been here since 1875, or in some way, shape or form, for over 1,000 years. So they had to renovate it. It had damage from termites, seawater, and even tourists who were like sticking coins into it, treating it like a big piggy bank. It is absolutely incredible. I used to think Miyajima equals Itsukushima, but that's simply not the case today. I've seen like there's so much more to this island. Going off in the mountains, checking out the shrines, eating lots of street food. But yeah, it never stops being incredible. Definitely worth visiting. Definitely worth seeing Itsukushima for yourself. And now, it's dinner time.
Across my many visits to Miyajima, I've pretty much seen Itsukushima Shrine from every single angle. But today I'm blessed to see it from not only a brand new angle, but perhaps the greatest angle of all.
Alright, we might have found the best view of Itsukushima there is. Unfortunately, it's very well concealed, hidden on the rooftop of the hotel. This is ridiculous. Like, you know, I was walking down there earlier, completely oblivious to this like hidden bath on the roof. My God. Honestly, this can't be beat. This is it. I wish I could stay here all evening. It's absurd to be able to sit here in the hot spring, looking over the misty mountains and seeing Itsukushima like that. It doesn't feel fair. I don't deserve this. Hands down, the best view of Itsukushima Shrine. And some dramatic music to match. I guess that's the 5 PM music. In Japan they play music when it's 5 PM. Either that or they just want to kick me out.
It's time to round off our day by enjoying a rich kaiseki dinner course at the hotel. Being greeted by some of the finest and freshest ingredients from around Hiroshima, seafood caught from the bay, and succulent Hiroshima beef.
Beautiful roast beef. Now earlier today we saw the largest rice paddle on the planet, and now I give you the tiniest micro tomato in the world. I mean, I love tomatoes, but that's a bit, that's quite small. What's the purpose of this? Lovely roast beef though, micro tomatoes aside, which are good. It's great though. Usually when I come to Miyajima, I'm running for the last ferry, right? I'm like running down the waterfront, I won't stop, no! Today, we're staying on the island. It's a bit less stressful as a result, and I can actually enjoy myself. It's a shame, I think, that many people just sort of turn up, myself included, speed run to Itsukushima Shrine, take a photo, and then head off again. I would love to come back and spend like a whole week here, especially if there's roast beef and micro tomatoes. Count me in.
You know, I thought I'd seen and done everything in Miyajima. I thought I'd completed it, but, you know, I hadn't seen the biggest rice spoon in the entire world, or the micro tomato, you know, or the shrine of the temple. I'm really glad I came back and saw the island from another perspective, and honestly, I think I'd probably stay here a whole week. Being in this bathtub certainly helps. What a good bath. Jolly good stuff. Well guys, thanks for joining us on our epic journey across Hiroshima. But what did we miss? Let us know in the comments below. And to find out where we visited and where we stayed on our journey, you can find all the links in the description box along with this video, including the hotel we stayed in downtown Hiroshima and the impressive cocktail bar on the rooftop deck of the Orizuru Tower. There's no better place to see the city at night though maybe avoid Matsuda-san's favourite slide after a few drinks. And hopefully it won't be another 5 years before I'm back to stuff myself with Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki pancakes.